Blah, y'all already know what it is. Your boy Yako, what it do? The outlet to reality, the holders podcast in Vegas and Chicago. What up? This is the place where you want to hide from your drama or maybe hide from your baby mama. Aha, just kidding. But anyways, fam, today we have a very special guest and I had to bring her back. She's a social worker, a professor, an author, and also like a second mom to me. Give it up for Maribel Lopez. How you doing?
How you doing, David?
I'm so happy. I'm so happy you're back. Cause a real quick story for those who don't know, Maribel used to give me rides to my school all the time, and we used to have we call it our deep talks. Cause anything she was going through and I was going through something, we both got to share it. So that was a beautiful thing. And I remember one time I had this girl I was, getting to know, and I told Marty Bell, look, this a problem. And she's like, what happened? I'm like, look, she got a car. I don't have a car. She got a job. I ain't got no job. I said, I don't know if this is gonna work. And first thing Marty Bell told me is like, look, you gotta be a gentleman still. I said, okay, all right. First thing. And you're like this, you want to know the secret for a healthy relationship? I said, all right, give it to me because I don't have time reading. I need you to spill the beans. You're like, if they love you, respect you, and love, respect. I'm missing one more. I had it. Love, respect. Dang, this is sad. I should know the last one. Dang, I don't remember. This is so sad. I just had it. I don't remember. It'll probably come back. But she said one of the three main keys, right? Serve. There you go. Love, serve, and protect. You have those are the main three things that a woman and a man, or whatever the relationship, should do. I was like, okay, cool, cool. So here's the thing. She's like, all right. So I'm gonna tell you something, David. When you go on this date, don't make her pick you up. Meet her at the restaurant. I said, why? I'm gonna get that free ride, you know what I'm saying? When you're like, look, it just doesn't look good. It just looks like you're using her. You don't want to look like a guy who it just doesn't look like a gentleman. You gotta be the gentleman. So show up there and watch the magic happens. So I get there, right? I'm a little nervous, I'm like, snap, this is a real date. And I get there and she shows up and she's wondering maybe I came in with a car too. And after the date, I'm making her laugh. We're getting really close. And the crazy thing is at the end, she gave me a ride to my place. And I felt special. So, because this time it wasn't like I said, hey, I'm going to get a ride. I was literally walking away, saying goodbye. And she's like, where's your car? I said, I ain't got no car. I'm beyond. I was gonna take the bus. You know what I'm saying? I was gonna take the bus. And at that time, if you were a full-time student, you had a U pass where you could take the bus anywhere. So I was walking and she goes, don't worry, I'll give you a ride. You're close to my house. And she gave me a ride. And I like that because we had like a special time to talk a little bit more. And I think we got closer. And I'm gonna be honest, Maribel, a lot of things that or people that I've dated, I feel like you kind of gave me a lot of preparation. Because even there's another girl too I dated who was studying women's gender studies, and the first reaction you went, "Woo, woo, David, I don't know if you can handle her." I said, "Why?" Because she independent. You know what I'm saying? She don't need no man. And I was like, dang. I was like, for real? Yeah, Dave, I don't know how to break it down, but she don't need nobody. So if you're willing to take the challenge, my friend, the door is open. And you were so right, because when I dated her, I realized this girl did not need no man. She was very independent. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I just had to share that. But like again, guys, I want to let you know this is a very special guest for me and for y'all too. And the main topic of today is how to forget or move on, not forget, move on someone that you loved, that passed away, whether it's a family member or someone that you love. So, Maribel, what about you? Any experience you could think of that you could remember a time that happened to you?
Yes, yes, yes. I've lost a few people in my life, but thank you, David, for having me here. And by the way, I'm not no expert on relationship, on relationships. Um, I probably was sharing some wisdom with you out of own personal experiences. Uh, but yeah, I've lost a few people in my life. And one in particular, really, really, I got really, what's the word? It just really knocked the wind off my feet. Um, for lack of a better term, I really got depressed for a while. That person meant a lot to me on so many levels. It was not romantic per se, but we were so close. We were emotionally close. We shared, there was a lot of things in common of like likes and interests and what we did. Music was one thing that connected us. And we were both very mindful, like to be friends. We were friends, and um yeah, he would say, one day you're my wife, one day I'm gonna marry you, I'm gonna make you my wife, and so making you feel that special, one day we're gonna get married, one day we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Um, uh, but it was just that connection that we had. It was just a very, um, it was a very special relationship and a very special person for me. I didn't have a relationship like that prior to that one, and so um, uh, yeah, it really knocked the wind off my feet. One of my daughters, she's like, "Mom, I've never seen you so sad. I've never seen you so sad. Are you gonna be okay?" And I said, "I'm gonna be okay. Well, one day at a time." You asked a very good question. You said, "How do you move on after you lose somebody?" Right? That means so much to you. How do you move on? And for me, I allowed myself to grieve. Everybody's like, "Oh, you'll get over it. It's okay. Death is part of life. Circle of life. You'll be fine. Move forward." No. We need to validate. First of all, accept someone's gone. Someone you really love is gone. You're not going to spend time with that person anymore. You're not going to talk to that person anymore. You're not going to be with that person anymore, at least physically, right?
Yeah.
We have to accept that. I mean, recognize that. Some people, some people don't get to acceptance until years later. Did you know that? Like, it happened, and then you fall into the shock, and then you don't accept it quite right away. You don't accept it right away. But for me, and the most important thing, and if I can share this, and if anyone just take anything from tonight and from this talk about how to move on from losing a loved one, is allow yourself to grieve. I cried it. I cried it. I allowed myself to stay in that funk. I was in a funk for a while. I was literally locked up in my bedroom for a while. I did
Wow.
come out to eat. I ate. My daughter to make sure I ate. We ate. I did. I was moving. I was living. I was existing. Um, but I was in a lot of pain. My heart. I was in a lot of pain emotionally. And so I practiced self-care in that I allowed myself to grieve. I allowed myself. This is where I am. This is how I feel, and I'm gonna stay here for a little bit, and that's okay. I don't have to get up right away, and start acting as if nothing happened, because the reality is that something did happen. I lost a loved one, so something did happen, and and it doesn't feel good. And I'm not gonna sit here and act like it's gonna be all right. It's gonna fine. It's gonna be all right. But at this moment, this is how I'm feeling. This is what's happening. This is what I'm gonna do at this moment. I'm gonna cry and I'm gonna miss this person. And for the longest, I revisited the pictures, revisited videos, revisited our music that we loved together, revisited, and I just stood there for a while in that moment. And and you know what? And I grieved. And when I was done with grieving, then I was done with grieving. It's okay. I moved on easily in that sense. Easily because I validated that feeling. I validated what happened. I validated that moment. So I was okay with moving on.
Wow.
Do you get what I'm saying? If I wouldn't have valued that moment, if I wouldn't have just grieved and be in that moment, then how can you move on? I think I'd still be stuck.
Damn.
So I had to allow myself to grieve and to cry and accept that that's what happened. And a lot of things were associated with that. A lot of things were associated with the grieving process. In the manner, it has a lot also to do, David, in the manner that the person passes away too. Was it abruptly? What happened?
Yeah.
It's. I think. I mean, I don't want to speak for the entire world, society, but when you know someone's gonna die, you to some extent prepare for it, but you still hurt, and you still, you still didn't want this to happen. You still have like a linger of hope, like maybe a miracle is gonna happen with this person, and this cancer is going. They're going to be cancer free. We're going to beat cancer, or and you have that hope. But then when somebody just out of the blue, just dies, or it's murdered, or whatever happened to that person, or dies, and it's out of the blue, you weren't expecting it. I think there's a different type of accepting and processing at that moment, because it's sort of like a shock. You're in shock. That happened, and you're like, what? You're in the disbelief stage,
Yeah.
So I guess that has a lot to do with it too.
Wow. I was gonna say too, like, the person you're speaking of, one of the last things. Well, when I first heard about you, I ain't gonna lie, he told me so many great things about you, and he said that I want you to meet three special people. That's what he told me, and I want you to get close to them and get to know who you're talking about. And we went. He took me to a church get together where you were attending. He's like, I want you to meet them. I said, okay, okay. I get there. He said, but you gotta look fresh. You can't be coming in pajamas because what I'm saying, they're gonna think you just woke up. So I make sure I look fresh that day. Like I was, comb my hair, what I'm saying. So I get there and I meet. You're not gonna believe it. I met you. I was like, man, she's very beautiful. And then
Oh,
I met Susie and Claribel. So I was like, what? And I was like, man, they're all sisters. And, what I'm saying? I was like, man, I'm already sweating. But I was like, what I'm saying? I'm like, man, you should have worn me extra. You know what I'm saying? I should have worn a different shirt. But, and it was amazing because I got to, talk to you guys for a bit. And right away, I already felt positive energy when I first met you guys. And I was like, man, I'm really happy I got to meet new people, and crazy because I never forgot what he told me. He's like, man, I want you to pay attention what they have to say. They're very smart people, but I want you to get to know them and learn, right? And it's crazy because when he passed away, Claribel, I'm Maribel. I'm thinking about your daughter. I don't know how she popped up in my head. I felt like we got closer, you and I, and with your daughters,
yeah,
because it's just weird how life happens, right? You just at first, I'll see you, hey, hi. But what I'm saying. But after that, I feel like we really, really got close to the point where I know he's up there in heaven somewhere, and he's looking at us and he's happy that I took his advice. And
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think one of the reasons I think we got close is because we had something in common, and it was that pain.
yeah,
We had that pain in common, and he loved you very much. He loved you. I'm gonna try not to cry. He loved you very much. In the same way he said that to you, he said that to me about you. Um, and and I think you and I both then know what he was feeling about each other, about us.
right.
And like you know what he was feeling about me, and I know what he was feeling about you. And I think that's the bond then that got you and I got us closer. The pain that you and I shared that others may not understand because they don't have that bond with the same person like you and I had.
Hmm.
Yeah, and he loved you very, very much. He loved you very much. You were like a little brother to him, like a son to him. He talked about you often, and that he wanted you to succeed and be amazing in life, and that he knew you had it in you. The Almighty made you, and so you were made for success, and you were made for the best. So yeah, I think that's why you and I got closer because we share that pain.
Yeah.
Like we share the pain, and we knew that person, and we knew the sentiment of that person for both you and I. Yeah.
Isn't it amazing how, and you probably know this because you know you do social work, that people that go through the same pain or struggle uh gravitate right to that person.
Yes, and this is why group therapy is so successful. Have you ever heard of support groups and group therapy?
Yeah.
It is so successful because you have find someone um, that can relate to your pain, to what you're going through your experiences, and that is why group therapy and support groups are so successful. Al-Anon, right, which is a support group for individuals with people who suffer some type of substance abuse, or AA meetings, and is another example. It's people that can understand each other because of what the struggles they face are similar, can relate to one another so they can support one another. One person, you can't say to someone, I understand what you're going through unless you walk the mile in their shoe. You follow me?
Yeah.
And so in support groups and in therapy, that's what happens. The one person know what the other person is to some extent feeling or went through or it's going through.
Wow. No, it's amazing. That's mind blowing because it's true. Like when you get with people that understand you, you feel more comfortable to share something that's personal that you can't share to everyone, right? Especially if they don't
Right,
know the person, right? They just
right. You can and you do. Because the idea also in support groups is not only um, for self healing
no.
and self recovery, but it's also then to impart that to the next person as well.
Wow. And what about like, have you ever felt not on him, but like somebody else where if they pass away, did you ever feel like man, I wish I could have said something to that person that um like man, if I had a chance to go back, I would have said something because it's too late, right? Do you ever felt like somebody from the past that you could remember that you wish you could have said something that could probably like because I know it doesn't leave the brain is still there, but you know what I'm saying, it don't leave. But do you ever felt that, like any regrets?
Uh, no, not with this specific person or anyone I've lost. No, I didn't feel that. I know a lot of people may have felt that, but
Yeah.
I said everything I had to say. I think you know me right now, David. I'm very vocal. I speak my mind. If I love you, you're gonna know it. If I'm mad at you, you're gonna know it too.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel
Um,
it. You know what I'm saying?
so nah, not with him or in that sense, or anybody that I've lost that I felt like I could fight. But if there was one more thing I can say
Yeah.
to that to the person I lost, or if there was one more thing I can say, it's always an I love you. It's always an there's help, there's hope. It's always you can do this. It will be something positive. It will be something uplifting and empowering to the other person. But in this case, I said everything I had to say, and as a matter of fact, when he passed, we were not communicating as much anymore. We had decided that we were gonna end that relationship for the time being because there was a lot going on, and so um, we had like a last talk, and periodically we would say, "Hey, how you doing?" And but we had closed it, um, to some extent. So I felt I said everything I had to say to him, but yet still I felt like he left abruptly. I felt like he passed away abruptly. Um, I was not expecting it. I thought I was going to see him again in a few months, and we were going to go probably drink coffee or eat. We love Chinese food, so go eat Chinese food or something,
Oh man. Or watch a
or
movie.
sing, or watch a movie, or sing, because that's what we had in common, music. So he would play and I would sing. Yeah, but right at that moment, we were not really on, like we weren't on talking terms so much. We had taken a break. So
Wow. It's very interesting because yeah, like he moved a lot of people, believe it or not. A lot of,
yes,
and you guys were like one of the best collab. If I could vote who was the best collab of the year for music, I'll vote for y'all and be like, hey, y'all should give the award to Maribel and my boy, and you know what I'm saying? Because you guys had that, he had the piano, yeah, and the bass, and then you had the singing, you be hitting those notes.
let me tell you something, David.
Yeah,
If you ask me what's something that you really really miss with him,
yeah.
was that chemistry we had with music.
Wow.
When I don't know if you know how we met.
No, you never told
How
me.
well how we met was is that I was leading the music ministry at church, and we needed a pianist, but for that day, the church building is a historical landmark, and so the pastor wanted to. Oh well, the city, they were having a tour of the landmark of the
Yeah.
historic. The city wanted to do that, and so the pastor asked me, "Hey, I have somebody that can play the piano. It would be nice, and when people come in to see the building,
Yeah.
to appreciate the structure of the building, that they hear some worship songs, music, live music. It'll be nice if you're singing, and then people come through, right?" And I said, "Okay, well, what did you get?" So he got him, and I had not met him or even spoken to him on the phone. We didn't get a chance to. Well, I
Wow.
think we tried to connect, but we didn't get a chance to, right? This is funny and amazing too. This is funny and amazing. Um, if any of your viewers that watch this podcast believe in God, they'll know what I'm talking about right about in a second. And so I get to the church. We scheduled the time. I get to the church, and he gets there too. the the visitors weren't supposed to come until like maybe 30 more minutes or an hour later. So I walk up to the pulpit, I'm waiting for him. He gets there, he sits in the piano, and he's warming up, right? Whatever. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Nice to meet you, nice to meet you. And all of a sudden people start walking in. And we're not singing yet. We just met, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I look at him, and I go, "What are we gonna?" We didn't warm up. I didn't warm up. I didn't. I looked at him and I said, "What are we gonna sing? What are we gonna sing? What do you?"
Yeah.
He goes, "I got this. I got this." Right? And I go, "Okay. I hope I know it." Right? And all of a sudden, he starts playing. He starts playing this hymn, and it so happened to be my favorite hymn, which
Wow.
happened to be his favorite hymn, which was "How Great Thou Art." He don't know my key. I mean, we didn't even practice. Start singing, David. I have never felt that with anyone. Like playing a song for me, like playing music for me, like never with anyone. I start praising the Lord. And we just had a moment. How many people walked in or out the church? We never saw because I was just praising God, and he was praising God with the piano, and that was it. And I was just in, and we looked at each other and we're like, after we were done and whatever, oh, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. I'm like, oh my God, you played my favorite hymn. And he said, that's my favorite hymn. And I'm like, wow. And I've never had that experience. And then anytime we were together, anytime he played, no mishaps, we have no problem. We never had any issues. I don't know how much you know about musicians sometimes with singers and musicians. There are a lot of issues sometimes. and
Right,
then,
right.
the musician wants to do something, the singer wants to do another thing, and then it's fighting. No, it's not that key, it's this key.
Right.
We never had that.
Wow.
He actually, he's in, I recorded a CD, very humble, simple CD, very humble, covers. I did some covers. And he actually played the bass in the song, and that CD dedicated to him. But
Wow.
let me tell you, we never had any issues with. As a matter of fact, I was nervous sometimes to sing a song or, interpret a song. And he's like, "What are you worried about? Hold on, watch, I got you." And he would be like playing, and I would sing, and it's never been so perfect.
Wow.
So I miss that tremendously. I miss that tremendously. And sometimes it brings tears to my eyes if I'm going to go, if someone's going to play for me or, then I, I'm like, part of me says, I wish he was here.
Um, wow, that's beautiful. I did not know that how you guys met. This is the most beautiful story I've ever heard. A movie should make this. Like honestly, hey guys, coming soon near you. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? I got a story I want to share with you about him. So one day he took me, he's like, David, I'm gonna make you work today. I was like, man, bro, this is my day off. I ain't trying to work. He's like, bro, you're gonna go, we're gonna meet this guy. His name is Pastor Arturo, the one at that church. He said, you're gonna love him, just follow me. We gotta help him out. I said, okay. I've never met the pastor, and the pastor he only spoke Spanish. So for
Yeah,
those who
yeah.
don't understand, I'm gonna translate for my English speakers. But he was like, hey, y vos qué te gusta hacer? I said, look, man, I like to do, me gusta hacer kung fu. He said, you know why you do kung fu? I said, nah, not really. He said, porque vos está confundido. I see. That's what he told me. I started laughing. So I
That's
was
him.
like,
That's him.
that's it, right? So,
That's him.
so for my English speakers, what the pastor was asking me is like, what do you like to do in your free time? And I was like, oh, I like kung fu. And he asked me, well, why do you do it? And I said, I don't know. He said, because you're confused. But in Spanish, it sounds better because, it goes with the word. But then I was just translating. But I love that. And I was painting his fence. And I'll never forget that because I felt good making a difference in, someone's life and doing this voluntarily. So I think one thing that you know, Alejandro had was he had he
This-
didn't think about what we're gonna get from helping someone.
No, he really was a servant.
Yeah,
He really was a servant. He liked to serve and give and protect and like to yeah, he was there for the homeless, the needy, the anyone who needed any type of help. He was there for them. Yeah, I myself too. I had some yard work that I had to do. My garage needed to be also painted and fixed, and I was doing it myself. And he's like, "I'll help you. I'll help you." And he came and he gave of himself, and he just was working the yard and yeah, the he was a servant. He was a truly a servant.
yeah, and I 100% believe that music was his best gift, one of his best gifts, cause it
That
right. What were you gonna say?
yes, yeah, that's like that's what you think about. You're like, wow, such talent, such gift. He was gifted. He was gifted.
Yeah,
He was gifted. Definitely. I mean, music music came out of his fingers. He was just gifted.
yeah,
I don't have any other way to describe it. I've never been in it. I was born in music. I was born in music. My father's a musician. I was born in music. I danced in a band since I was like 4 or 5 years old, um, and sang in a band. And I know a lot of musicians. I knew a lot. I met a lot of musicians. He was gifted.
yeah.
He was gifted.
Hands down. I always say this. I don't know if you agree with this, Maribel, but this is a theory I came up with. You ready for this? So in the Bible and the Torah it talks about the Levites, right? That they were the ones who play in the temple, like music.
Mhm, mhm,
I honestly believe this is what my personal belief. I think anybody who can sing or play an instrument has the blood of the Levites in the old days. Because those are gifts like that just they're hard to come by.
mhm.
You know, not anybody could sing and be like,
Right.
I'm still trying to work my vocal cords and it just ain't coming out right. You know what I'm saying? I be
I
trying.
Yeah, I share that sentiment as well. Yeah, Levi's. Yeah, for
So
sure.
you gifted girl. That's it. That's why I was sweating too when I saw you and everybody's like, they gonna all sing at the same time. That's amazing. I was like, man, they really got talent. You know what I'm saying? They really got that. Oh man, no, for real. I'm really here. I'm happy that you could share that. I want to share another story. I want to share with you. So I lost my grandma and long time ago, like maybe I think like 8 or 10 years ago. She was a very powerful woman, a leader. This woman would actually cook for kids that couldn't afford clothes, that families that couldn't have food or bread. She had like a little restaurant, but her extra time she would feed a whole like village.
Mm,
And my grandma didn't have no back pain. She never used a cane. She died like 92, 2 years old.
well,
Very strong, very funny personality. And I think because she did that, all these things, I feel like it makes me to do better and appreciate life. That's what I took. I was like, man, grandma, you did a lot that all these things, and I'm even shocked. I've never seen her mad. I remember one time she came over from Guate. She came from Guatemala to Chicago, and my mom was about to beat my butt. So I had my grandma. I said, "Grandma, protect me." And my grandma, she literally did protect me. She spanked my mom, but like a nice playful spank. And I was like, damn, grandma, I know you have my back. You know what I'm saying? That's what's up. I need that because yeah, I didn't have protection that day. So I love that. And like little stuff like that, I feel like it's beautiful when you hold on to those memories. Now here's the crazy part. I'm gonna shock you right here. So I talked about this very briefly on my last podcast, like maybe 6 or 5 months ago, where I lost my best friend during the pandemic, which is a time where everybody lost somebody, right? But here's the crazy thing: we were both gonna get married together. I told him, brother, we're gonna get married together. I want you to be in my wedding. And the crazy thing, when I moved to Vegas, he'll still call me every day. And one day I go to work and I get a text from one of my good friends back in Chicago. And she's best friends with my best friend that passed away. Just seeing her text, I could tell he passed away. And I
Mm,
was like, I don't want to open the text. I opened the text and she tells me, I'm sorry to tell you, but he passed away at this time. You're not gonna believe this. I woke up that day, that morning. Some reason I woke up at three or no 4 in the morning. And tell me why in Chicago, that's the time he passed away.
wow.
And people were saying like I was trying to get help mentally and emotionally. They all said he was trying to say goodbye to you that
Mm,
day.
mm,
Right. I told my boss what happened. He let me go home, take the day off. I cried so much, Maribel. I've never cried so much like this because he became like a son to me. No lie. He
mm,
for those who don't know, he had a stroke. He none of his family wanted to visit him. I was the only
mm,
one that dressed him up and like took him to his doctor appointments and make sure he was doing get things done for him. And every time he got in trouble, they called me. At the nursing home, they're like, "Hey, he ran away. Go find him." You know what I'm saying? Oh, where'd he go? And I remember that, and I honestly, I really felt like he was like my son. Like in a different lifetime, I was his dad. He was my son, and he looked up to me. I looked up to him, in different ways. And man, it's so true, Maribel. I was crying so much, like even in the shower. I never thought I could ever cry in the shower. I cried in the shower. I thought maybe the water just got hotter, you know what I'm saying? But I start crying. I was like, dang, these tears don't stop. And it's like every little thing that was a good memory, like it just a tear fell. And I had one of the big he was like a school teacher in the Jewish community because he was a Jewish rabbi, my best friend. He said, David, do you want to, we all decided we want you to write a letter about all the memories you have in one like piece of paper, and we can share it to the news week of the Jewish news, like newspaper that we pass on, and we can share that so people can actually know how was he as a person. And I thought that was a beautiful thing. It was hard for me to write it, but I was like, you know what? This is a good chance to show people who he was. And but yeah, I agree with you, Maribel. Sometimes you can't see. I don't understand when people say, and I'm not trying to talk bad about people, but some people say that you shouldn't cry, that you shouldn't give in so much, that you should laugh. You can't. I'm sorry. If you want me to be real, like you're real with me, I'm gonna be real to the fans too. You can't. You have to express yourself. You have to let it out. You have to go through it. It's part of life. I think that when times like this happens, it brings people more closer.
yeah, for sure. For sure. It can. I mean, it it can look both ways. It could bring people closer. And sometimes it can divide. Sometimes it can divide people. Uh so because remember, not everyone knows how to deal with pain. I've seen families destroy when someone dies. And I've seen people get closer when someone dies. And I think one of the reasons why a family may not get closer is because they don't know how to deal with the pain. That's why I believe that everyone needs that grieving time and allow themselves to grieve. And if you need professional help, then you need professional help. You need to go see a counselor. You need to speak to somebody, a rabbi, a pastor, a spiritual leader, a confidant. But I think it's important to process that pain, because if not, then it's going to be hard to have healthy relationships. It could be hard to have healthy relationships among your circle, whether it is family members or whether it is friends, or even to relate with individuals in the world, because sometimes you feel like your trust has been shattered too. Because now you're like, well, I'm not gonna get close to nobody, because what if I lose another person? I don't want to hurt like that again. Or I don't want to,
Yeah.
And that's not healthy. That's not healthy at all.
Yeah.
That's why we have to breathe. We have to process through that pain, find some healing, and so that then the journey to recovery is less painful. Is a good one.
That's true. That's true. Now, Maribel, I'm gonna this is something that I have to bring up. I have to. Dun. Um I heard you came out with another book. That's one of my fans they been hearing. I've been getting a lot of text messages like, "Oh, Sam, this is real. It's real." So I want to ask you, tell us a little bit about that book. I see you got it right there in the background.
It's right here. God is not mad at you. In fact, He loves you. It's my book, and this book, wow, years in the making. I laugh because I look at it and it's not that big. It's about 130 pages, like 130 pages. It's not that big. You can read this in one sitting, I have people email me and say, I read your book in 2 days. But wow, it took me forever to write this book. And I tell you why it took me forever, and people are writing it. I reading it in 2 days. It took me forever because I call it my life testimony. It has to do with my personal testimony with a miracle God did in my life. And so, it was time to share it. It's part of my healing process too. It's part of my healing journey. And so I talk a little bit about my life, what I went through as a child, the first 11 years of my life, and then a little bit about my adulthood and who I am today, and how I've overcome a lot of, hurdles in life and barriers, and I want to share it with people. So first of all, they know there's hope, there's healing, and there is a life after trauma in your life. So that's why, it's on Amazon. It's on hardcover and ebook, hardcover, and paperback as well.
Okay.
One of the things that you're gonna find in this book is a letter of forgiveness that I wrote to myself, and I encourage everyone to do that. I encourage everyone to write a letter of forgiveness to themselves. We often blame ourselves for things that happen in our lives, either inflicted by others or our own self, because then we start blaming ourselves. Why didn't we do something about it, right? And so I have a letter of forgiveness, and then I also have in the back, I also have reflection questions, so you get an opportunity to reflect on these questions. I have some affirmations. Yeah. So I encourage you to read it. You be prepared to be inspired. There is the responsibility that comes from reading somebody else's life. Somebody share their life with you. So prepare for that, because you might read some hard things in here. And you, David, personally, that you did not know, or didn't know about me, my childhood, and the things that I went through, and what God did in my life. So that's why it's titled, God's Not Mad at You. In fact, He loves you.
Wow, it was beautiful. I love the title. It's already catchy. Read it now because I thought God was mad at me today, but I guess you know what I'm saying. Like no, for real. Like today, I was driving and I got a little sad. I mean, not sad. I got a little frustrated with God a little bit. It happens with everybody. Anybody that
Yeah,
who has a spiritual relationship with God. I noticed that one of my coworkers got a job. I got a new job, and they're about to quit. I've been applying for jobs since like last year, like a lot. Because here's the thing, like my job where I'm at, I think is great, but I found out that my purpose is not to work there no more. It was there to help me get the apartment, but it wasn't my job to be there forever. That makes sense. Because I have so much talents. Like I have so many things that God gave me that I want to use it. Like I love teaching. It's one of my biggest things. I love teaching, whether it's bachata, martial arts, or acting, whatever. I just have a lot right there. I love the podcast. This is something I'm using to reach out to young people. This is another talent I have. And there's just so many things. And I was driving my car and I was like, man, God. I was like, and this is the time, like I'm being real with you and to everybody. I was like, man, God, why did this person get the job like a job? Like I was just thinking a job. That was even better. And I was like, why didn't I get one too? You know what I'm saying? And I was a little frustrated. I was like, man, come on, God, I'm supposed to do better. I need to expand my empire. I need to get myself out there. And then I realized during my car ride, I was like, man, God, you know what? I shouldn't be saying these things because everyone is in a different chapter of their life.
yes.
You know what I'm saying? And then I felt bad. I felt guilt. I was like, all right, got it. And I also want to apologize for what I said. I was already judging you, and I can't judge you because you're the king of judges. So I ain't trying to mess up your title. You know what I'm saying? So I felt bad. But that was one of the most authentic prayers I ever had with God. And I feel like,
Amen.
right? Thank you. Thank
Amen. That's real, and that's real. I think that's necessary. I think, yeah, God deserves all the reverence in the world, but I think more than a reverence, He wants a relationship with us. You know, that we can talk to Him as if He was here in front of us. After all, He's our creator. After all, He knows what makes you tick. He knows how He made you. I mean, in relation to that story, I want to validate your feelings, and at the same time say to you, when one door opens, it's because the better one's gonna. I mean, when one door closes, because the better one is gonna open. It sounds cliche, but I give thanks to God for the many doors that He allowed to be closed because they were not going to be good for me. You following me?
Yeah.
He knows. He can see ahead. You and I can't. And so, uh, yeah, it's easy to get mad because, oh, why didn't I get it? Why didn't I? And then the other thing is that the dealing with each of us is different.
Yeah.
There's a purpose. Jeremiah 29:11. There's a purpose and a plan for all of us. And it's not for harm, meaning that if we learn to wait on the Lord, learn to trust, learn to honor Him, because you're saying that I want to honor you with the talents that you have given me, Lord. Okay, then now trust that He's got it, that He has a way, that He will make a way, and you are going to fulfill what the Lord put in your hand to fulfill. Philippians 1:6. Whatever He started you, He will complete it. But we get desperate, right?
Oh, yeah, we do.
We want it today. I want it now, and then we want what we want.
Yeah.
And if you want to work alongside God, that you can't want what you want all the time.
Yeah.
You have to learn to trust, let go, and allow God to also pave the way because He knows best, because He knows ahead. We don't.
Yeah.
So I was like you. I thought God was mad at me too for a lot of reasons. I didn't want to go to church because because church people hurt church. Church people hurt people. But guess what? He said to me, Maribel, church people, church deserves forgiveness too. Um, church people are people. They're gonna make mistakes. They're going to do things they're not supposed to because they're not perfect. They are not God, right? Um, I was getting mad at the wrong person. I'm over here getting mad at God when it was so and so who hurt me, so and so who did this. So I was like, well, I'm not going to church. And then I thought I felt guilty because I'm like, now God's mad at me because I'm not going to church. And I could hear God loud and clear. Oh, it's Maribel. I'm not mad at you, sweetie. I love you. You're my daughter. Just behave for once. Stop being a rebel.
Right. No, for
I being a rebel.
oh man, no, it's true. It's true. I feel like a lot of people they get stuck sometimes, and they feel alone, which is very normal for everyone, And I feel like the best times, like I'm gonna be honest with you, Maribel. There was one time, girl, that I had a really really bad day, and it was so bad. It was one of the worst days I could ever remember. It happened actually this year. It's sad to say, but it was so bad. I was terrified. I was like, man, so many things happening at the same day and the same hour. I was just freaking out. I was like, man, this is horrible. My life is over. And I was just like, man. So I was so mad. And I was like, I was frustrated. I couldn't talk to nobody. I say, nobody understands me. When you're mad like a little boy, man, nobody understands me. I'm stuck. So I was like, man, I gotta pray. I try everything that I can from my knowledge, from my sources. Didn't work. The only last thing I could do was pray. And I was like, let me pray. And so I prayed. I went to the room, closed the door, make sure nobody see me because I know you get people, spying on me with the binoculars. I had to make sure I was, doing it right. So I get there and I was like, you know what? God, I forgot. I'm gonna leave it to you. And there's a quote. You know how there's that quote, and I don't know if it's a verse. You probably know this, but it said like God will never put you. There's not a problem that you can't handle, right? There's something like that. I don't know,
Something like that.
something like that, right? And I
I
was like,
think that also came out of the fact that with the temptation, God gave us the solution,
yeah,
and so we are equipped. There's nothing you can do that God already did not equip you to do, and that's where that saying comes from.
right. Thank you. I like that. Ding. And so I was like, you know what? God, I'm gonna leave it to you. I feel like you're gonna help me come overcome it. Believe it or not. And I always say this: when you have a bad day, the next day always gets a little better. That week turned from being so negative down became the best week for me. Believe it or not. And I needed that. Sometimes, what's interesting? I always tell people, be careful what you pray for.
Yes.
Because if you pray for patience, God will test your patience. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I definitely believe that. I definitely believe that. And I was like, give me all the patience I need. I want to be a very patient person. Are you ready, brother? Here we go. Boom. And then you're like, oh,
Yes. My husband says, don't pray for patience. Pray for grace.
ooh, that's deep. I like that. I'm gonna start using that.
Because he says, if you pray for patience, prepare for the trials and tribulations that are coming your way because you pray for patience. So he's like, okay, then I'm going to equip you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you the patience you want, David. But
Right.
when you pray for grace, then you're praying for God's mercy on you.
Ooh, that's deep. That's deep. I love that. Ooh, I got the goosebumps. I got chills. They multiplying. You know what I'm saying? No, that's true. I love that. That's really good. See, I like. See, here's the thing, Mighty Bell. This whole week, when I was, doing my thing at work, I was like, you know what? I would love to have Mighty Bell in my podcast again. I enjoyed the last, and I was like, man, I gotta bring her back. I feel like she got so much energy, and I love that. Here's another thing too. I gravitate to other people that are spiritual, and I feel like you're very spiritual, and that
Amen.
makes you stand out. You know?
Amen. 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 Thank you for saying that. Yeah, it took me a while to get into to have a deeper relationship with God. But you know what, too? Also, David, life experiences and also allowing for that relationship to flourish. When I learned in my core, in my soul, that we're more than just human beings, that we're more than just flesh and blood, that there is a spiritual part of me, and that there is a being that created me. I wanted to know more about it, and I wanted to have a relationship with that person, because let me tell you something. When your car breaks, where do you go? Do you go to the veterinarian, or do you go to a mechanic? Well,
Mechanic. Right?
so I feel the same way as a human being. If God created us, then if something's wrong with me, or something, I have a question about something, or I'm going to the source. I'm going to the source. I'm going to the correct source. I'm not going to no veterinarian when I'm supposed to go to the mechanic. So I'm not going to anyone else but to God, the Creator, the Almighty, Elohim, and that's that. There's no question about it. But it took me a while to learn that. No, now there is this saying that oh Lord, I forget who quoted this, but knowledge is power, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but knowledge is power only if you use it. Because you could know all you want today, but if you don't put it into practice, you have no power.
That's
And
true.
so I that's what I relate my connection to God, connection to power. That's to my spiritual self. It's connection to power, it's connection to God.
Mm, that's deep. I like that. No, it's true because you could read all these books, and if you lock yourself in the house, what's the point of it?
What's the point? Yeah, you can read all the books. You can
You
be
know?
you can be the smartest person on earth, but then don't use those smarts, don't use that wisdom, don't put it into practice, then what good is it?
Right. It's so true. Yeah. I think we honestly all came to this world um to definitely inspire people, to help people. I honestly believe that. That's why if I have an opportunity to change a person's life for the good,
Mhm.
I would not be like, oh, I don't feel like doing it today. I feel like you gotta, and there's gonna be times you don't feel like doing it. Like for us, and I want to say this. I know my mind be going everywhere in the world, but um, one thing I want to say on the side before I get to that, Maribel, I gotta tell you this. You are one of the most open-minded people I've ever met, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because not only do you know about the Christian faith, which you practice, you also know about the Jewish faith, which is very rare to hear in the Christian community. To hear about the Shabbat, like a lot of things like practices that the Jewish people do, and I love that. I actually respect you more because I I wish there was more people that study and research more of their faith and don't stay in the box.
I agree 100% with you. I think it's a lot of it is ignorance, A lot of it is we need to know more. I've always had this inquisitive mind, this inquisitive attitude. I wanted to know more. So when I, so when I knew about God, I'm okay, who's God, right? And then I learned about the Bible, and I'm like, okay, so who wrote the Bible? What are the stories in the Bible? How does it relate to us human beings today? Who, and then you know, I I I learned through the Bible about um, the Jewish people. I learned that Jesus was the King of the Jews. You know, I wanted to know more. I want to know, okay, who's Jesus? You know, who is the people of Israel? Why were these festivities celebrated? What did Jesus do when he was on earth? So I wanted to know more, and you know, and I adhere to what I believe, right? For certain, but that doesn't make me, number one, that I know it all, that now I have the perfect religion, right, or the perfect story. No, in all honesty, my take on it is, I'm going to seek the Lord. His word says, "You seek me, and you will find me." I want the wisdom that comes from God, and the wisdom that comes from God is not a wisdom about who is better or not. His second commandment is love thy neighbor. I mean, as you love yourself. And his first is, you would have no other gods before me. The most two important things for God. Okay? So I'm not here to be fighting with my brother or sister who may be a Catholic, who may be a Jewish, who may be Muslim, who may be Christian, even in Christian, because even in Christianity, there's so many different denominations that they fight among each other who has the right doctrine.
Right.
And you know what? The right doctrine is in the Bible. The right doctrine is in the Word of God. And the Word of God contains the first books of the Bible, which is the Torah. And the Word of God contains, right, the other, what we call the New Covenant, the New Testament, the New Revelation. So, listen, for me, we make things complicated. I believe God is a simple God. Honestly, I believe he's simple. He says, do good. He says, do not get weary of doing good. In due time, you will be rewarded. Hallelujah. What does it mean? That is a good thing to do good in life. Don't do bad, because you will suffer your consequences. I believe we have a simple God, and that a simple but amazing God. And that's what I mean. Not that he's simple, but like his relationship with us is a simple one. It's not complicated. I think we human beings make things really complicated. If you want to know even more how inquisitive or how we should be, look at children. Look at kids. They're pure. They're innocent. I mean, oh my Lord, they love everything and everybody. They're open. Then you know what? That's the spirit I want to have. I want to have the spirit of a child, with wisdom. If you know what I mean. I want to have the spirit of a child with wisdom. And again, I don't think that God is complicated. I think we make God complicated. Again, I'm not no one to judge either. I'm not the judge. Right. You just said it. He's the king of judges, not me, not us.
Right.
So sometimes we want to fight with each other. I'm not going to sit here and fight with you, David. I'm going to love on you, because you know what? I believe you are a creation of God. Now, your beliefs and your ideologies and then that's between you and God. That's not between you and I. Mm-hmm. I mean, if we're going to talk about Jesus too, then Jesus was with Gentiles all the time. Jesus was in the streets. Jesus was not in a corner 24/7, waiting for people to come to him. Actually, no, he was out, speaking to people, healing, doing. He was out, connecting. And so, again, simple. You want to know, if you are a person of, believer in God, believer in Jesus, you want to know how they did it? Read the Bible. Yeah. Again, he's simple. He's simple. Don't complicate God, and don't try to be God, because a lot of people try to be God.
Yeah. Then you can't really talk to them. They're kind of hard to get through that wall, because they're like, I already know it. You know what I'm saying? And you don't really know it. In my head, it's like, you don't really know it. But no, that's beautiful, Maribel. I love that. I wanted to share one quote that actually, to close it, that I thought about you. It's one of the best teachings I've ever heard from you. And I love the quote. It says, "This is what you say: Forgive is not only a gift to the person, but it's also a gift to yourself." I
Yep.
love that. That's so deep. I never forgot that. See, I pay attention, Maribel. That's the point. That's the point.
Even it's even greater. It's a benefit to you. So forgiveness is a gift you give to somebody. Forgiveness is a gift. I forgive you, so I'm giving you a gift to you. And for you, yeah, it's a gift for yourself, but it's even bigger. It's a benefit for you because it liberates you. It liberates you from bondages that you shouldn't carry, and guilt or feeling bad anymore, or hanging on to something that hurts. So it's good for your soul. It's good for your health to forgive.
Yeah. And I think it's hard for some people because they're like, how could I do it after the big whatever crime they did was so big, right? But I feel like, and it does feel good inside. Like there was one time I talked to my cousin. I'm older now, right? I talked to her right before I moved to Vegas, and right before she got married too. And I talked to her, I pulled her aside, I said, "Hey, cuz, I'm gonna be honest with you. I just something I gotta tell you." And it was a long time ago. And I said, "Look, cuz, when you first came from Guatemala to Chicago, I was pretty bogus to you. Like, I wasn't paying attention to you. I didn't want to hang out with you, and I was kind of like pushing you to the side. I think one time I did, like, made you feel bad because I just didn't want to hang out with you. I just want to hang out with my friends, something like that, right?" And we were just I was just older than you, just by 3 or 4 years. So I was just like, there's no point hanging out with you. I didn't feel like we clicked. That's pretty much I said. And then my cousin told me this. She's like, I forgive you. And I don't remember that. That's what she said. I don't remember that. So I'm like, for real? I don't remember that. But I'm happy that you were able to tell me. I don't know how many years. And I felt good, and I got that off my chest. Whether she remember or not, I felt good that I said it because like you said, it's not good to hold it.
No, no, it's not good for you.
Yeah.
It's not good for you to fester inside you
Hmm.
and it stays with you. Look, that's the thing, that sometimes we hold on to things, whether they're hurts or that you hurt somebody or that somebody hurt you. That person's living on their life like there's no tomorrow. They're at the beach somewhere with a pina colada and having a great old time. They don't even remember. They don't even carry it. They don't even. And you're hurting yourself
Yeah.
because some physiological illnesses, emotional and mental health, is associated to um, situations like that. For example, unforgiveness and or holding on to something that it's not worth holding on to anymore.
Yeah. I agree with you. And I love that. I love that. So I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. This is the Outlet to Reality, the holdest podcast in Vegas and Chicago. What up? Every Tuesday. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Cha-ching! You can find me on Instagram at the Outlet to Reality, and my TikTok is at Yakov28, and we're on Spotify too. And Maribel, any last words you want to share to your fans or where they can find you?
For sure. Definitely on Amazon, I have an author's page. So you can look for the God's Not Mad at You book. I also have the Dr. Lopez Quote of the Week book. And this, by purchasing this little book, you are helping our scholarship foundation and helping a student go to school. And I also have a journal. It's called Eternally Grateful. It's filled with scriptures and then blank pages for you to journal what you feel the Lord is saying to you through His Word. And you can find that on Amazon, the Dr. Maribel Lopez author's page, but also my website, which is www.drmaribellopez.com. And there's more information, more resources there.
Perfect. Thank you guys. Peace.